Happiness begins with a smile. All on 4 dental implants may help you smile again. Smile because you no longer need dentures. Smile because you can eat your favourite foods. Find out more about the world-renowned All on 4 clinic at allon4.com.au.
I'm Dr. Theo Spirakis from Bexley Dental, and I can give you back your smile. With the All-on-4 dental procedure, I can put an end to broken and missing teeth and uncomfortable dentures. Book your free All-on-4 consultation now at bexleydental.com.au.
The Informed Investor, thanks to Century 21. Smarter, bolder, faster. Go to century21.com.au.
Speaking of a man who knows lots about cars, particularly Mercedes-Benz, Charles Tarby is the chairman of Century 21. You're a Mercedes fan, aren't you?
Only because I take lots of pictures of them, Steve.
Yeah, that's a beautiful car that you drive. Looking at evening to you, Charles. Nice to speak to you again.
Thank you.
Clearance rates, it looks like Melbourne is the big collapser in the real estate market around the country. And Sydney's actually got back to holding up okay. Brisbane is, in fact, not too bad either. Canberra and Sydney seem to have been belted.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Sydney, Canberra and Melbourne have been belted. Sydney, yeah,
Sorry,
you're right. 59.2% with 321 auctions. It's pretty good. I mean, this time last year it was 61.1%. So that's getting almost back to where it was, which is good to hear because it has been an incredibly difficult time. There are people out there wanting to buy, Steve, but, there's a difficulty with borrowing. There's also the negative talk. Only just a few months ago, they were talking about a complete crash in Sydney and Melbourne. So I think it scared a lot of people. But you're right, Sydney's done well, and also other capital cities are doing pretty well too. Adelaide's reasonably stable, but the best capital city right now that's standing up seems to be Sydney again.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? To get back to within a 1% of clearance rates at this time last year. Although I suppose there's not a lot of, is there not a lot of auction action at the end of January, beginning of February? It's probably quiet anyway, isn't it?
It is. It's probably Melbourne would normally get up to anywhere from 900 to 1,200 auctions. So, I mean, their count was 352 on the weekend, and Sydney's probably 1/3 of what it normally does. So I'd say next weekend we'll get a better indication of whether or not we're moving along. Look, the national clearance rate was 54.1, so Sydney for the first time in a while has been above that. So that's a pretty good sign.
Big residential real estate story has been these residential towers. I talk, of course, of the Opal Tower in the Homebush precinct, where,
Yes.
I mean, that's just dreadful for the people who are living there and going through that. And then we had that awful fire in Melbourne. Lucky that people weren't killed in that, with cladding on the outside of the building. We're going to get a building commissioner apparently in New South Wales. I mean, I would have thought we had one already.
Look, there's so much legislation and there have been so many changes within the building industry over the years. It's hard to keep up with it. I think the private certifiers are probably the ones to blame, although in my view, I think we've talked about this before, the private certifiers are necessary. They've been to blame because they're right in the middle of it. They're in between councils and developers and so on. And I'm not sure how good the structure is, but I do know that they are necessary. Private certifiers are necessary because if you try to get things done normally with the speed we've needed to get it done, going through the normal channels of councils has been a bit of a battle.
So you'd be waiting months, if not years.
Absolute months. I got to tell you, Steve, I waited for almost 5 months to get a driveway approved for my home. I'm talking about
a driveway?
A driveway. I'm talking about from the road to my house. I mean, I comply with the law in every way that I have to, and of course, most people just go and put a concrete driveway in. It took me months to get it through. In fact, the town planner made me have an architect draw the rectangle and pay for the architect and submit these plans. This is the crazy part of what it's like to deal with councils.
So building quality, does it you've been in this business longer than anybody. Does it really vary? And how, as a prospective purchaser, are you going to be able to judge that?
Look, you raised it. I think I'm not sure who the lady was you were talking to, but it was a very insightful discussion you had recently, and we talked about the fact that people buy a product off the plan. What they get at the end of it is not the same as what they thought they were getting, that's generally because the properties are all sold, so the developers might look for a better percentage. I think that the majority of builders, particularly those who are out there building stock standard homes, do a really good job, and most of the time you don't have any issues with it, and most of the time the builders will be concerned about their reputation. But when you're going into a larger development, it's probably not as well managed as you might get with a stock standard builder.
So if a product has Master Builders Association logo on it, can you rest assured that that's going to be okay?
I don't think so. I mean, we have the same issue. We have the real estate institutes around the country. That doesn't necessarily mean that the real estate agents behave in the manner that they should. I mean, you can report a real estate agent to the real estate institute, and generally institutes will do what they can, but that they don't have that control that, say, the Department of Fair Trading might have. And I think it still comes back to those governing bodies that really can make the hard decisions that master builders or institutes can't make.
So if you're buying an existing property, you would always get a professional inspection done?
Always. And this is the thing. There's a lot of people out there, but then sometimes...
Biggest thing you're ever going to buy, so you'd be sensible to, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but even some of the inspections that are being done, people are still finding issues with those too. So it really does keep the Department of Fair Trading busy, because even a professional inspection doesn't necessarily mean that they capture everything that's wrong with the property, sadly.
So buying off the plan, would you?
I would buy off the plan, but I mean, there are certain rules you would follow in buying off the plan. A lot of people go, it's easy to buy off the plan. So you can put down a small amount of deposit, you can buy 2 or 3 properties, and then you hope that the market's going to move. My advice to most people is it's a very big gamble, and this is why a lot of people, and they generally buy off the plan in areas they don't understand. So people will go interstate and buy off the plan because it might be cheaper there. So it's a very, very dangerous situation, and we were warning people about this 2 years ago, that will the valuation stack up when you're ready to settle? Will the property be the way it should have been that you saw? I remember some people told me that they bought this property off the plan, a 2-bedroom property, and ended up with a 1-bedroom property. And this became a real battle for them.
Yeah, that's a worry. That is a real worry. I don't know that I'd ever be confident enough to buy off the plan. Charles Tarbey, always a pleasure to catch up and pick your brains. Thanks very much. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you very much, Steve.
That's Charles Tarbey, who is the chair of Century 21 Australasia. Listen to him. He knows what he's talking about.